Hello, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. As I go throughout reading this, please look down in the description below because I'll be having all my sources linked down there, and each one will have a number by them, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Whenever I say one or source one or whatever along those lines, something that doesn't seem like it's going to fit in, that's the source for that, whatever I am saying. So if I go around and I say Trump has done X, 1, then it's link number 1. But today I wish to be talking to you about the American election process issue. And that there's going to be 3 main issues that I wish to bring up, and of course there's more. But let's begin with number 1, the polls. Coming into the American election, the polls were swinging heavy towards a Biden landslide. Looking at the 5-3-8 polling, Biden months ago was up until just October was in double-digit leads. Closing in near the end of the election season, Biden still held leads in multiple states, but it went from double digits down to single digits. Still, he was in leads in polling places such as the public policy polling, YouGov, IPSOS, yet when it came time for election, these polls were all wrong. Take public policy polling, which got a B rating from 538. They gave Iowa a +1 for Biden to win as of November 2nd, but ended up being wrong when there was a 9-point difference. Another example is look towards Florida. Swayable, with a D- rating, gave Florida to Biden with an 8-point advantage. 2 non-related polls in the AYTM and Curiously gave Biden a +2 and a +11 respectively. Change Research, a C- rating, gave Biden a +3-point advantage. The IPSOS, with a B- rating, gave Biden a +4, and Data for Progress gave Biden a +3. Both of them were sitting at a B- rating. When in reality, Trump won Florida with a 4-point lead over Biden. All of those polls were wrong. This is also ignoring other polls such as Monmouth University and IBD/TIPP. Both have A ratings and gave PA to Biden by +3, +4, even though right now, while it's still being contested, Trump is in the lead by a point. Or Ohio going over to Biden per the Quinnipiac University by +5 points, even though Trump won Ohio by 8 points. Go do research for yourself and see how wrong these polls were. Everything that I'm saying right now were all coming from November 2nd. The issue here is that the polls, which help sway American opinion due to a pack mentality, say that Biden will win, and massively. This gets many people on the fence to flip one side or the other because, again, they want to stay with the winner. No one likes to be on the losing side. Beyond that, it also helps keep some voters at home because they feel it's pointless to vote with such leads in states. Think about it like this. If you're a Republican in California, there's a 4 million vote difference between Republicans and Democrats. Many Republicans think it's kind of pointless. Even though your votes do matter, people have that mentality and just won't go out to vote. And when they come see these polls coming out that there's an 11-point difference, oftentimes many people won't go out to vote. This is why polls are the first major issue for the election. And I do know there will be a counterpoint to this, and that people will say, well, look at this though, look at 2016. However, that was an outlier. And again, you can say that 2020 is an outlier, and it is, but people still have some faith within the polls. But after this election, hopefully all faith will be gone. Now let's head over to the second major issue, which is the news media. And this is how the media gives away states prematurely, or also how it tried to blame one side on one thing while ignoring the other. And by that I mean, take for example Trump saying he won the election, this is source number 1, and saying how it's terrible to do and point out how he's wrong, and this is for sources 3 and 4. Yet when Biden does the same, source 2, there's not a word said about it. Trump can come out and say, I've won it. Biden can say the same thing, and yet everyone will blast Trump. It's because they're trying to shape a narrative to have the public have a specific view towards Trump. For the second part, look during the timeline itself. Go rewatch November 3rd streams for either CNN, Fox, especially Fox, MSNBC, all these different outlets, right? States such as Virginia and California were immediately given to Biden, even though not a single vote was counted. This is more so in case of California or even like a Vermont. But in the case of Virginia, it was a close race, even though they claimed it immediately towards Biden, which you saw Trump in the lead for the majority of the night. Yes, it did end up going over and becoming a Biden state, but still was a close race, and they immediately called it even though it was Trump's hands. It was in Trump's hands for about 5 or 6 hours, even though it was called for Biden. My thought behind this was to set a narrative that Trump was down every moment in the race. They wanted to always seem like Biden was in the lead. They didn't want to give Trump any credence. This is further backed up by how Arizona was called early, and this is source number 5, even though there are votes still withstanding as of 5 p.m. on the 4th of November. And even right now, nearing towards midnight, the votes are still withstanding, and Arizona can easily flip, and many people are projecting it to flip. They may not, but this is what other people are claiming. In either case, they have about 600, at least 500,000 ballots still left to count, and this is source number 7. This helps sets a narrative that if Arizona flips, or if Trump tries to contest this in the courts, that Trump is an authoritarian. Again, all this is to set up a narrative in the public, in everyone's minds, right? This is a coordinated effort by both the polls and the media to shape the narrative that Biden was always supposed to win, even though the election is incredibly close. Look at Nevada, for example, has an 8,000 vote difference as of right now, and any claims of fraud is just Trump trying to be a dictator. More importantly, they want to rile up the American public. If it is viewed that Trump is stealing the election, then people will push for impeachment and hinder yet another Trump term if he did manage to win. This is also a focused effort to handicap Trump as much as possible so he cannot continue with his policy agenda. This leads me to my third and final issue, fraud. What should take a night to tally the results, and mainly did prior to the 2000 election, has steadily been growing into now becoming election week or even election months, and this is source number 8. The longer it takes to find results allows for more time for the results to be skewed. The second part that brings about fraud is one of the issues that happened in Arizona, where a large district, primarily that being Republican, was invalidated because they used Sharpie. Another form of fraud comes in mistakes that happen, such as in Michigan, over-reporting occurred. In one of the Michigan counties, it was said that Biden got 150,000 votes, when in reality it was just about 15,000 votes. Alongside this, per whitehouse.gov and source number 11, there was a total of 1,071 cases of voter fraud. The most damning piece of evidence, so that should help instill that there is still potential, if not outright voter fraud going on, that can sway the election. It comes from Nevada, where ballots were found on the side of the road, and this is source number 9. The same Nevada where, by the end of November 4th, has an 8,000 vote spread between Biden and Trump, and that if it goes to Trump, he wins the election, assuming he holds Pennsylvania. That in itself screams voter fraud, and that voter fraud can have a massive impact on the elections. That's ignoring that other states are incredibly close, such as Wisconsin, which is called right now, and it has currently a 20,000 vote spread. So, hopefully each one of these votes could make or break the election, and any issue with voter fraud immediately impacts the integrity of the election. But the severity of the fraud can be debated. You can say, oh, there are millions of votes for fraud, which I do not personally believe, or you can say that there is a couple thousand to 10,000, which I may be on the side of. This undermines the election process and freedom as a whole. Whoever wins coming out of 2020 will always have that mark looming over their head, and unrest will surely and sadly follow. I hope America can stay united no matter who wins, and that there will be no riots or bloodshed for the events that have unfolded for this election. I hope to God nothing happens. Now mind you, everything that I said is not taking into account a few different points, such as the small time voter fraud that's being brought up in Wisconsin and all throughout the states in general, or how ballots have been being found Project Veritas recently said that there was massive voter fraud due to the USPS, and go check that over at their channel. And overall, that's also ignoring the fact that PA's IG said that Trump has no chance in winning it. He will make sure it doesn't happen. Hopefully he doesn't delete that tweet either, and I'll try to remember to put that down into the description. But in either case, thank you for spending time watching me. Thank you for watching in general. Please let me know your comments and your thoughts down below. And anyways, God bless America.